What's up, everybody? It's the AFC time. We're here to break down the AFC division, doing some predictions, of course, following up on the last episode. It's Brian, it's Cody, it's Fourth and Dynasty here on the Dynasty Pros YouTube channel. Cody, how we doing?
I'm doing great. I just actually watched Friday Night Lights the other day, so I'm ready. I've been watching all these little towns, their football teams starting to get going. No, we do not have 7-man football here. It's only 3 hours away. Okay, but it's not in my town. But whatever football you're playing, I'm excited to watch you guys, and I'm excited for the season to get going. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, you know, funny you mentioned that. My dad actually he lived in Odessa. He went to Odessa High, the other high school in that town, the same year that whole thing went on. So he's like, yeah, he used to know Booby Miles and all those fellas back then.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, yeah, we got our ass kicked by him all the time. I was like, oh, nice, nice. But yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm super pumped. Scott Hansen is just days away from being in my house for all of Sunday. My wife's getting mentally prepped. She loves football, but not at the level that I do. So, you know, she's got to spend this time to get mentally prepared. But we've got the rankings up. We've got our hot takes. We've got all our guys. And here, I'm just excited. It's AFC time. You got your team last episode. Now it's time for me to take the reins and show you how the AFC is broken down. But you want to start with the West?
Let's start with the West.
Start with the West. Those damn Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. The backward pass. It's freaking ridiculous. I'm almost tired of it. I loved Patrick Mahomes. Loved rooting for him. But at this point, we're going for the three-peat. It'll be 4 or 5 years if they win this year. I'm ready for a new team. Let's spread the love.
You just can't see greatness when it's right in front of you, can you?
I can, but he doesn't have to win to be great. Peyton Manning is the greatest quarterback of all time, and he was modest. He only took 2 Super Bowls, you know, very modest.
I'm not gonna argue that with you. I also believe Peyton Manning was the best quarterback alive.
Tom Brady's just the winningest quarterback.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Oh, look, the views are going down. We're losing them.
For sure, we're gonna get some flack for that, but I did like what Mahomes is like, I didn't want to. Travis ran the wrong route. And Travis is like, what's Kermit going to do? Like,
right. I'm just going to improvise, make it great.
I did like that. What do you think about the win totals in this division? We have 11.5 for KC. We have 8.5 for LA. Las Vegas is 6.5 and Denver 5.5.
Yeah, Vegas and Denver, I think they're where they belong. There is some excitement. Yeah, I'm little to no excitement at all. I know the Raiders had that great defensive push at the end of last season, but I don't know. There was some fairy dust on it. They got rid of freaking I don't even want to say his name, but you know, they got rid of him. Everything moved on, so I'm kind of ignoring them. The Chargers is my biggest struggle. I thought the number was low at first. Now I think it's high. Maybe it's right where it needs to be. Maybe that's why I'm tilting so much.
I think that's the one I'm really staying away from because I think it's dead on. I don't know if it's going to be a 9 or an 8 win team. I think Denver is a little low. I'm not gonna lie, because now it's like coming from the biggest Sean Hader fan out there.
I'm right there with you.
Ego is enough to start Bo Nix. And we all know what Bowman Nix is. But with Sean Payton, he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he's good. I think that gets him at least 7 wins. At least his rookie campaign.
I think a lot's going to be kind of told by this defense. This was a once near elite defense. They've had to move some pieces, lose some pieces. And Sean Payton is one of those coaches that he thinks he found a great player with his old team, and he's just willing to keep grabbing them. And I don't like those guys. I'm not a fan of guys that go out and let me bring in the kicker Will Lutz and Little Jordan Humphrey Jr. and Adam Troutman. I'm like, dude, like all you're doing is bringing the crawdads up to Colorado. Like this isn't. It doesn't work like that, you know. And I'm not a huge. I don't give a lot of confidence to coaches that treat situations and rosters like that.
And now people, when you say, well, he likes KOC, the difference is Tristan Jackson and all those and Brandon Powell were 22 when he brought him over. They aren't 27, 28 and washed up. That's the difference. He still saw development in those players and brought them over to the practice squad, and they're still not the wide receiver 1 or 2 or having significant playing time until they were ready. That's the biggest difference between the two that I agree with you on.
Yeah, I do think we're going to get some work from the running backs. Javonte Williams, his price is so suppressed, it's not bad. Jaleel McLaughlin, that's something that we see commonly from Sean Payton is 2 running backs can surface out of this, and also they're usually going to be in the top 5 of receptions to the running back position. And that screams fantasy points, especially on a bad team where they're playing catch-up. They're not running the ball as much. They're having to pass it. So, and like you said, Bo Nix, the dude throws the ball at the line of scrimmage, if that. So having running backs and wide receivers that do a lot of screen game, stuff like that.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton, I think, is a sneaky good pick, especially where you're getting them in drafts right now. Like round 11, I've been getting them, round 12. And, I mean, if you're getting him in the screen and you're seeing that guy run at you, I'm not going to want to tackle him.
I don't have the stones. I don't have the stones to do it. Like redraft?
I've been doing a lot of it.
He's one of those guys that kills me because if he doesn't show out the first 2-3 weeks, you're not playing him. But he's the starter for a team, so you can't drop him. So then he inevitably is sitting on your bench for 8 to 10 weeks before you're finally like, I have to drop him. I've got 4 injuries, my IR's busted, and I need a quarterback. You know, so like he turns into one of those players for me. So I get burned. It's ruined leagues for me, if we're being honest. Having so many of those wide receivers that like you can't drop, but you're not playing them to get the
Rashad Bateman effect. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
The Sammy Watkins effect. You know, like shit like
100%.
that. Oh, gross. As far as this division, though, I've got Kansas City, I've got the Chargers, I've got Denver, I've got the Vegas, and you've got Denver as your number 1 team in this division, right?
Sure don't. I got the exact same thing as you. I think it's going to be KC. Out of the next 3, I just think the Chargers are better suited to be second in this division. I think Kansas City far and away is the best team in this division, without a doubt. And then Denver and Las Vegas are just a little bit farther behind. And that's
I
don't think it's because Bo Nix is Bo Nix, but Justin Herbert's also Justin Herbert. Like he can be a top 10 quarterback. I don't think Bo Nix will be this year. So just more of I'm going to take the quarterback into that and have him win a few more games than the other 2 teams.
Yeah, coaching and quarterback just gives them a handful more wins that I don't think those other 2 teams could compete with. Head to the north. Baltimore at 10.5, Cincinnati 10.5, Cleveland at 8.5, and Pittsburgh at 8.5. This was a team, the first time ever, we had the entire division finish with a winning record because Mike Tomlin is inevitable. It freaking happens. We touched on the San Francisco drama a little bit with Pittsburgh possibly acquiring Ayuk. I don't think it's a bad or a great thing for this team overall. I don't know how much it really changes these pieces.
Do you think they're just a little bit more dynamic with Justin Fields, though? With Arthur Smith?
I'll say no in an NFL answer. For fantasy, sure, absolutely. I think that he has a higher ceiling of the points that he could score. But for the overall points for the team, I don't know if that's true. I think we would see Justin Fields excel, but it might be on the back of his legs. It may pull away from the overall. Because Russell Wilson's going to check down. That's how these running backs can succeed, are with these old geriatric quarterbacks. So between that and Arthur Smith, I'm super excited for that. So I think Justin Fields would just really put a wrench in it, and then you're kind of like, all right, who's he going to steal the points away from this week?
It's really funny because I think I'd much rather have a lot of the position guys in Pittsburgh than I would any of the position guys in Baltimore, excluding Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Just for this year alone. And quarterback, like Andrews and Lamar over everyone else, but I'd take Pickens over anyone. I would take even Pickens, I would take him over. And the one we're not talking about, Najee Harris. I think it's contract year for him. He's got Arthur Smith, who loves running the ball. He might have a big year.
I think so too. Arthur, the big thing right there, Arthur Smith running the ball. And there are so many Jaylen Warren lovers out there. I think they're going to push Arthur Smith into using Najee. And, I mean, plus Warren's going to be doubtful for week 1 right now.
Yeah, isn't he out 6 weeks?
I don't think it's 6 weeks. I think it's just a handful of weeks, and they said week 1 is up in the air at this point.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's soft tissue injury. Those things linger.
Yep, they linger. It's going to be with him all year, so he might not be as effective.
Yeah, Baltimore, though, 100%. It's Lamar, it's Andrews, and that's all you're confident in. Zay Flowers is talented. I think he could take a step forward for sure, but he's also in a system in the body type that just doesn't scream that high end upside. Like, I don't see him ever finishing as a top 5 overall.
I think we have the same argument when we were talking about New Orleans. There's no one behind him either, and I don't want him to be my wide receiver 1. I want him to be my wide receiver 2, so he can get the best production he can because he doesn't have the top corner on him.
He would sit well with Brandon Ayuk.
Exactly, right? Like, or just like Devontae Adams. Even then, just like all these names that we still might speculate are happening. Something like that, I think, would be good. But yeah, other than that, I'm not gonna take him this year if I don't have to.
Cincinnati, I'm back on them. I was kind of cooled off on them last year, despite Jamar Chase not doing anything so far. T. Higgins, we could see him, possibly get a little bit higher target share. He's going into a contract year, so he's got that incentive to play his ass off. Let's go for it, man.
And I don't know. I need to see his wrist. I need to see Burrow's wrist. I don't know if it's something. I have a bad feeling his arm's going to affect him this year. Getting the ball, maybe not down the field, but I just don't think he's going to have that accuracy that he wants. And I think that might affect him in a few games. They don't have Joe Mixon anymore, so it's going to be Chase Brown and
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss, yeah, that's a downgrade. It just is. So it's going to be an interesting. I think they lost more than what they gained. Even on the defensive side, I think it was the same way. I mean, it didn't change much, but if we're going to talk about that, I would much rather take Cleveland's defense, and I still think they got a little bit better with Amari Cooper still getting there and Deshaun Watson with another year out of the system. I mean, listen, we both don't like Deshaun Watson that much, but I think he can score 28 points, and I don't think the defense is going to ever give up 28 points. So I think that's the only reason why I'm going to put him over. I mean, when you have one of the best defensive ends in Myles Garrett on your team, I'm probably going to stick with him a little bit.
Yeah, this is a top 5 defense, a top 10-ish offensive line. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah. Running backs, Nick Chubb is a freaking superhero, so he might just come back and be close to what he was last year. I don't know. I don't have the buzz that I had for Cleveland last year, but again, it's the price. It's the price. They were kind of written off last year, except for Deshaun Watson. This year, I am into Deshaun Watson. Going as like QB 2022. Yeah, if you can make a dynasty trade for this guy, I think in like a super flex league, you can get him a little cheaper, maybe trading away, a younger asset for him. I think it's a good move. But I've got Baltimore, Cincy, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh.
And I got Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. So we just switched the middle two, which I think is pretty fair.
And I think both of them could be getting in as wild card teams. So I don't. End of the day, I don't really see it affecting them too much. Heading off east, we've got Buffalo at 10.5, Miami and the Jets at 9.5, and then New England all the way down at 4.5. We've got Buffalo and New England down at the bottom, too, for us. I have Miami winning. You have the Jets winning. So confidence in Aaron Rodgers is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, if he stays healthy, I do have confidence in him. I've seen it for so many years in my division that I want someone else to experience it. But it's just, I don't know. I think he loves being hated and loves proving people wrong. And I think he has skill players around him. Even if Tyler Conklin's his tight end, he's still athletic. You have Garrett Wilson, you have Breece Hall, and the plethora of running backs behind him. And I think they all play into his game. I think this team is set up for Aaron Rodgers to be good. They don't have to be. The offense doesn't have to be particularly good at anything because you have Aaron Rodgers. he'll make the play. He'll make whatever check, whatever thing he needs. He's that good. So I think just out of pure throwing, he's one of the best. So it's just, you can't really bet against him. And I think the difference between that and Miami is I think the Jets take the two out of those two games, and that'll be the difference.
Yeah, that's, well, I guess if Miami's playing in New York, if that game's in the beginning of the season or the end of the season, because if they're playing in the cold too, it's toast.
That's true.
That'll be a big deciding factor because it does scare the hell out of me. Miami plays in Cleveland on championship weekend. I know this because best ball. I've been hammering a lot of Miami and Cleveland, and that part scares me. Just that's where they're playing. End of the day, though, I think both these teams are going to be awesome. Jets have probably the best defense in the league. Miami, I think they're a top 10 defense or can play up to that point. I think the Jets are in a good situation where because their defense is so good, they will have positive game scripts. They will have a high turnover rate. So Aaron Rodgers isn't going to have to throw for 4,500 yards. He may have close to 35-ish touchdowns, maybe more, because they're going to be efficient. But I think they're going to be in better situations that's not going to require him to consistently move the ball all the way down the field, because after Garrett Wilson, it is sketchy. As far as, Mike Williams coming off the ACL, Malachi Corley, Tyler Conklin, they probably could have used Brock Bowers with that 10th overall pick, but that's just me.
It's neither here or there now. But
right.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, yeah, you put them face to face. If you have a game-winning drive, Tua just scored with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But you have a minute and a half left, and you're down, and the Jets are down 4 with Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't matter who he's throwing to, he's going to make the play.
If he has time, and that's the big thing too. This offensive line has had the biggest facelift ever over the offseason. So I think that is the something that pushes them over the edge, and why I've got Buffalo down there. Buffalo, the magic was deflating last year. Joe Brady, I know he did some things over the second half of last year, but I'm not a big Joe Brady fan. Granted, we've seen him in poor situations there with Matt Rule down in Carolina before that. So, we're going to give him an equal opportunity here. But I don't know. I think this offense in Buffalo has plenty of chances to hit hiccups. I don't think that Josh Allen is as good as Patrick Mahomes and can rise a mediocre wide receiver room up enough to win a Super Bowl, much less, or to go to the playoffs, much less win a Super Bowl like Patty did.
Do they have an easy schedule? Because I don't see why they have a 10.5 over-under for wins. I think that you slam the under on that one.
Yeah, they've got the first place schedule coming out of last year, so it's not necessarily the easiest. Jets are going to be playing better, so they're not going to have just those gimme games between New England and the Jets. And you know what? I think New England can sneak out a couple wins in this division. That's what they do. They are a rough, gritty team. Gerard Mayo, he's a defensive guy. I think that he will inspire and have this team kind of overplay their talent. So I don't think New England's going to be just there'll be a speed bump for this division.
Yeah, probably. I agree with that.
All right, you ready to go to the South? We got to get down and dirty.
You ready to fight?
AFC South time, everybody. Houston at 9.5, Indy at 8.5, Jacksonville at 8.5, Tennessee at 6.5. This division's close. It came down to the final week of the season to decide this. The Colts were in the driver's seat for a while. The Jags were in the driver's seat for a while. They dropped a game, and then the Colts and Houston were battling it out for this win, and Houston snuck it out. Nobody saw this coming. They gave away their first overall pick the year prior to get a Anderson, a defensive player, after they took Stroud. Everybody's thinking, what in the world are you doing? You're giving away a top 5 draft pick. Nope. They shocked the hell out of all of us, didn't they?
Sure did.
But not shocking enough, because I've got them third in this division this year.
Yeah, why is that?
Yeah, let me put parentheses around this. I've honestly could see Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Houston all sharing a 10-7 record this year. I could see them being the difference between half a game between all three of these teams. Maybe it's a little biased there. I'm buying into it. I've put all my cards out there for Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to have a great year. This defense is good. They had the top defender off the board fell to 15 in the draft for them. They've got one of the top, I think, 7 or 8 ranked PFF defensive lines. Their offensive line's top 10. Pieces galore. So I really think that Indy can sneak this out, but I think that all these teams are going to be beating the crap out of each other, and just barely, like 8 to 10 wins for all 4 of these teams is where I see it. So sounds a little wild, sounds crazy, but I think this is going to come down to tiebreakers, and it's just the fun of being a Colts fan and thinking we're taking the division.
I think the tiebreaker is going to come because Tennessee is going to also be up there. I don't know why. I love what Tennessee did all offseason. And I have the projected starting defense, and it doesn't look as bad as they're projecting it to be.
They keep acting like they're a real contending team for some reason. Like, yeah, they went out and got a premier cornerback. You know, they keep adding pieces all over that defense. So,
yeah, I mean, they have Jeffrey Simmons on the defensive line. They have Harold Landry, Arden Key, Kenneth Murray, you know, and then they have L'Jarius Sneed, Awuzie, Roger McCreary, and Amani Hooker with Jamal Adams. Like, those are no slouches.
Mm-hmm.
If they can bring it together, that defense is going to be good. And I'm actually starting to believe in Mayo Man himself. With DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley. Like,
did you see his mayonnaise cologne that he dropped?
I did.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I like what he's doing. I like how quiet they've been too. And I think they're going to shock some people. I really do. Now
they went out and took care of the.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, they took care of the receiving core. They brought in pass catching running back and Pollard to put with Spears. Offensive line has improved. They brought in one of the best offensive line coaches in there with the head coach's dad. So
I know I'm biased to Calvin Ridley. I'll be the first one to say it. But to steal him from your divisional opponent, that just makes it that much better. Like, that makes it feel that much like Jacksonville's pissed about it. They're going to try to double team him, and then all of a sudden, Will Levis's holes for freaking Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are just enormous, and DeAndre Hopkins is going to be on the other side getting single teamed. Like, how dare you? So it's just bait them in those games. I just think, like you said, it's going to be the black and blue division for sure. I just think more of them, it should be a little bit closer for 6.5 on Tennessee. I think they all should be around 8.5 or 7.5 or something. And just bring it up a little bit, I think.
Hey, with that much confidence, man, we got to sprinkle a little dough on Tennessee on the over there. Again, I don't hate it. I think that there is that possibility. Tennessee is treating their defense, like I said, like they're contenders. I do have head coach, coming from Cincinnati, pass heavy team up there, so we could see a lot of that. Beat reporter recently came out too saying that I can't believe Jacksonville used Ridley this way. Evidently they're using him all over the field, different situations. They're like, he's killing it. So even if DeAndre Hopkins is a little hampered, but in his old age, Ridley looks like he can, for at least this year, be the guy.
He's the best route runner since 2020. Like, coming out as a prospect, he's been the best, and he still proves it in his footwork every week. So, yeah, they just didn't use him right. They just didn't. And I think Tennessee is going to really hammer that fact in those games, and that's going to piss off Jacksonville even more. So I think it's interesting because in our predictions, we're completely opposite. We have no one in the same spots. So I have Tennessee, Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, and it's not because I don't think Indy's good. I do, and I think Anthony Richardson's also going to have a good year. I just don't believe in their defenses enough. And I like Pittman, but I don't know what's behind him either. So I don't know. I don't think they can score enough, but I hope so.
I hope so too. Pittman, A.D. Mitchell really has to come out and be. He was a guy that was, I felt, kind of polar opposites on recruits. They either hated him or they loved him. I was kind of out on him going into the draft process. I have changed my tune a little bit. A lot of that's because he landed on a team I like, and I have to dig into it more. So there's a little bias in that, but my exposure in best ball is still minimal because there were the question marks that there were. So I do have Indy, Jacksonville, Houston, Tennessee. I still think Houston's going to be great. Again, it's probably the contrarian in me. Like, right answers, the boring answer is usually the right answer, but screw it. Not in a predictions episode. not in this one. Jacksonville, I think that T-Law and Kirk both can be top 12 at their position. I think we saw Christian Kirk do that just 2 years ago before Calvin Ridley came in there. Evan Ingram. You say what?
ETN too, and Ingram. Yeah. I think they could all be top 12.
Yeah, Ingram's going to be peppered with targets, but end of the day, despite him being a big old boy, he's going to be a 3-4 touchdown guy. You know, he just doesn't score a lot, and we saw Christian Kirk pull in 8 touchdowns 2 years ago, putting him in as a top 10 wide receiver. So between Gabe Davis dropping balls, not really catching anything, Brian Thomas Jr. probably taking a little bit of time to get acclimated as a rookie, Christian Kirk will feast in this offense as long as Doug Peterson can hold the train on the tracks, because I think he's due for a new team. Or they're due for a new head coach in the next couple of years at Jacksonville.
I think they're the biggest question mark in the whole division. They could be first and they can be worst, and I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Do you think Trevor Lawrence can make the next step that he needs to make?
I think so. I'd almost be willing to say I think he's the best quarterback in this division.
Okay.
CJ Stroud is immensely talented. We saw a lot from him, but let me see him this year, and I'll make a more definitive statement at the end of the season. Yeah, can he maintain it? We've seen tons of guys do it for a season, and I'm not saying he won't continue to be good, but I think we're already throwing him. Look at Dynasty rankings. He's being treated like he's great. He's not great. Like he had 2, maybe 3 top end finishes like on a weekly finish last year. Like that's not what you're spending QB3 on, So I think the most dynamic is definitely Anthony Richardson out of this group. And then you've got Will Levis, maybe the biggest discount of them all, because you can get him for near peanuts depending on the league that you're in. And
I've been getting him so much as my third quarterback and loving every minute of it.
Because the upside just between him being a quarterback itself and also, could be on a good team. Or at the same time, they could be drafting in the top 5 next year because he does so poorly. So it's definitely a risk. But as Grandma used to say, no risk it, no biscuit. So that's what we're looking for.
It's going to be a great division, and I cannot wait to watch it happen. So, who does Indianapolis have week 1? Off the top of your head?
Houston, I believe.
Ooh, so we'll know right away.
Yeah. So, I'm so looking forward to starting 0-1 like we usually do.
Moral of the whole last 2 weeks here is Jordan Love over CJ Stroud. Got it. All right.
Yeah, actually, at 100%. I have so much more love than CJ Stroud in every format, redraft, best ball, or dynasty. So I've got no problem on it. So as we're wrapping up the AFC, Cody, tell me where's your gut? Who's coming out of this division?
Give me New York Jets.
I like it.
I think Kansas City finally loses to Baltimore, and Baltimore can't get it done against the Jets.
Baltimore was my pick last year. I had Baltimore beating Kansas City coming out.
I think they see each other not in the championship, in the division, and I think Baltimore finally gets them. But I don't think in that case it's going to be the Jets on the other side that comes out of it. And I don't think that team can beat the Jets. Who wouldn't want to see?
I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right and I'm wrong. But I'm going Kansas City. I'm going boring. I think they're going to... Oh, my God. I just, they're just a tier above all these other teams. Like Baltimore, the Jets, and an AFC South team I'd be willing to put up there, right underneath that cusp. But yeah, I just think Kansas City, that the defense is still good. They restacked the wide receiver room, so
you live right above or right below the real mid-Atlantic area, right? Who wouldn't want to see Philadelphia and the New York Jets and just the chaos that would bring?
It's a lot of green.
It's a lot of green, but a lot of fighting too. A lot of black and blue.
Oh shoot! I didn't even look up the logo this year. That's what we should be doing.
Oh, that is true. I think it's really yellow and red.
Okay, yeah, we got red, purple, and a bright green in there. So the Jets and San Francisco looks like it could be. Oh, crap. That's who you picked. You looked at the logo. Okay, Cody's cheating here, folks. I won't stand for this. You know what? We're getting out of here. We're shutting it down. Before we do, Cody, tell the people where you're at. Huh?
I'm pretty sure I picked Philly, actually, so it'd be all green.
Oh, it would be all green.
I might have picked San Francisco. I can't remember anymore.
We'll go back and edit.
You can find me at Dynasty Pros. Yeah, we'll fix it in post. You can find me at Dynasty Pros for all the fantasy content you need. You can also find me on X at Cody Folden. Where can we find you, Brian? Are you still doing your movie podcast? What movies are you looking at right now?
Oh, God, we just wrapped up. It's been a movie summer, so we've got episodes dropping left and right. As of today, we just dropped A Dog's Purpose. It was our tear jerker week. So, yeah, I was severely dehydrated after this weekend. Lots of tears. Nobody likes a dead dog. That's not fun. But, yeah, if you're looking for more Dynasty content, I am all over here on the Dynasty Pros YouTube channel. Me and Cody hitting it hard with the content. You're looking for more coverage for me, redraft or best ball, you can find me over at the Fantasy Football Advice Network. Their YouTube page, tons of stuff coming at you. I will be dropping episodes every single day of the week, minus Saturday, because I got to keep the sanity, you know, folks. And if you're looking for more talk, you're tired of Twitter, you're tired of Facebook, come on over to the Fantasy Football Advice Network. It's our platform, our social media page. It's fantasysportsadvicenetwork.com. We'll see you there, but until next time, Cody, we got lots of fun stuff coming for the people, right?
Oh, yeah. Lots of
always. Until next time, everybody. We'll see you then.